What's good, y'all? What's good? I got rumors saying that Terence Crawford is going to want more money to fight Errol Spence at 154. And he said that he'll take the same deal if the fight was to happen at 147 again. And the way he snapped on, on Danny Garcia and Keith Thurman was classic. I feel like Crawford's got a right to do everything that he's doing and say everything that he's saying because when he finally got in there with Earl, of course, what we seen, he showed out. So now he's the undisputed champion at 147, and he pretty much can call the shots. Now, that's a rumor about the Earl Spence thing, but I kind of believe it because Earl Spence, in his post-fight interview, he was just assuming that the fight would be at 154 in all his statements. And I never heard Crawford say nothing about 154. I heard him say that it was hard for him to make the weight at 147, but the winner is supposed to choose the weight. And Errol Spence was talking like the fight was just already signed, sealed, and delivered at 154. And yeah, Crawford, he has a right to demand a couple more dollars to fight him again at a weight class he never fought at before. You know what I mean? The way that he dominated, we can arguably say that we don't really even need the rematch. But to do Earl a favor, he's just gonna need a couple more chips. And if he was to stand on his square and say that he wanted to fight at 147, I think Earl walks away. I think he walks away, because he clearly made it known that it's his last fight at 147. He don't want to fight there no more. And that's honestly not Terence Crawford's problem. You know what I mean? He was at 147 for 5 years. Earl Spence was at 147 for 10 years. I don't know why some fighters stay at a weight class so long. Devin Haney did that as well at 135. He was at 135 for pretty much 10 years as well. I don't think it's a great idea to stay at a weight class, until you have to force yourself up. Sometimes it's just good to just get a belt or two in that weight class and just move up before it even starts getting hard. A lot of fighters at PBC, they don't move up like that. Keith Thurman, he hasn't moved up either. But Earl and Devin Haney, they were chasing undisputed. So maybe that's the reason why they stayed so long. But at the end of the day, you got to prioritize your health as a fighter because it's hard making that weight a lot. I'll be hearing those guys be having to cut 35, 40 pounds just to get to the weight. So why do yourself a disservice like that to the point where your life is miserable trying to make the weight? I think if Spence would have moved up to 154 before fighting Crawford, yeah, he would have got the criticism, but he would have gave himself a better shot. I think Crawford would have still chased him at 154. And maybe he wouldn't have had a bad showing like that. Not like to make no excuse for him. I just think Crawford is all wrong stylistically for Earl Spence. But if you ain't getting the fights fast enough to become undisputed, you shouldn't wait there that long. But I don't think Haney either. I don't think he was even able to after he got that undisputed. He had Lomachenko right on his ass, so he had to stay for Lomachenko. Now, Danny Garcia and Keith Thurman, they've been having Bud's name in their mouth, saying how they want to fight. I mean, not recently, but after the fight, immediately after the fight, Keith Thurman called out Bud, saying this and that. And I can't lie, he had a couple opportunities to fight Bud, and he turned it down. I remember after the Barrios fight, he could have fought Bud already, but he told Bud he needed 8 months to prepare. And that just wasn't on Crawford's timeline. Crawford tried to fight Danny Garcia. That never happened. I think probably at 140 and everything. So, yeah, I mean, those fights are not even on the top of the list for the fans to want to see anyways. Danny Garcia, he moved up to 154. You know, his footwork looks a little better and all that, but every time we see Danny in there with top competition, he just all gun shy, looking like he's trying to survive. Only competitive fight with a top dog he had was Sean Porter, where it was debatable if he won or not. Other than that, he's been blown out. So I wouldn't expect him to be able to beat Bud. And Keith Thurman, he fights like once every 2 years. Since the Pacquiao loss, he fought like 2 years later. And now it's been like over a year and a half since he fought again. So I don't see what makes him the top contender to fight for undisputed either. But Bud snapped on these guys on Twitter. He said, my, how the tables have turned. Danny Swift and Keith Thurman Jr. will never, and I mean never, get a shot at the top dog, and that's me. Y'all hoe asses didn't want no smoke when I wanted to fight, remember? Now y'all want to fight so bad. Go keep fighting each other. And to be honest, I kind of would be more interested in Danny and Keith maybe fighting each other or even fighting Earl Spence. Keith and Earl Spence, that fight looks really good right now. At 154, you know what I mean? I don't know. Those two guys do not deserve a shot at undisputed, clearly. If anything, somebody need to fight Jerron Ennis. You knock him off, you for sure can get a undisputed shot because Bud, he doesn't necessarily have to move up right now. And if he did stay on this square and say 147, I think Spence is going to walk away. And Keith Thurman, if he was to beat Boots, he'll be undeniable because people want Crawford to fight Boots. You know, people are saying that's the most competitive fight for him. And Crawford is also waiting on the Canelo call, assuming Canelo beats Charlo. But if I think Charlo beats Canelo, I don't think he's going to fight Bud, especially not immediately coming off the win. He's going to have to rematch Canelo. And if he beat him twice, he definitely ain't thinking about Bud. He's going to stay at 168. Why not? You know, Crawford can try to move up 3 weight classes, but Jamel be pushing that fight off. He seemed like he want nothing to do with Bud. So we don't know what the next move is after Errol Spence, assuming he beats Errol Spence again in the rematch at 154. But I think he's got a right to demand a little bit more money to fight at 154. I don't really got no problem with that because me personally, I don't care to really see the rematch. I just to take the rematch so Earl can try to redeem himself. I like Earl too, but if it don't happen, hey, I wouldn't lose no sleep about it. So we're gonna have to see what's what. Crawford, the man with the plan, of course. After that dazzling performance against Earl Spence about a month ago, and we just got to see what he does next. Because if Earl Spence don't take the rematch, ain't no telling when he's gonna come back. Because he took the fight against Al Heyman's wishes, and when you go against your promoter's wishes, you tend to get shelved. So I don't know what's going on with that, but we gonna have to see.